Trevor, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just finished a good workout.
Yeah, great. Yeah, my Wi-Fi is just being spotty, so I guess that works out even better for you.
Oh, it's perfect, man. It's perfect. It's
Awesome, man.
perfect.
Well, I mean, take us through. Just a few weeks ago at this point, your win at CFFC, second round knockout. I mean, just take us through it. What's going through your head right after it happens, and now as you've had some time to unwind. What's going through your head.
Oh man, it's just I'm really just it's just going as planned, or actually it's going better than planned. I was expecting a couple of battles, over these past couple of fights, but I really haven't gotten that. It's actually going my way. I've executed really well, and I haven't given my opponent much to counter or to hit. So, I really have just. It's been easy, and it's something that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and
I was really expecting some serious battles, and but I know I have some on the in my forefront, So
absolutely, and that was going to be my next question. Is when you kind of are preparing for a war and things seem to go completely your way, how do you remind yourself to that next fight could be a war? It might not go everything your way next fight.
Oh, I'll just take myself back to my very first loss as an amateur. And I should have won the fight. I just went in there well overconfident, and I went over there and I didn't hide my chin, And the thing is I was letting my wheels run too much instead of just slowing down, sitting back, hey, looking, and just being completely prepared. I wasn't prepared back then,
Yeah.
And that's what caused me to lose. And I don't ever want to taste that feeling again, So I guess I just go back to my first and second losses as an amateur. They were back to back, and I don't ever want to feel that feeling again. And I know exactly how I lost those fights. They didn't beat me; I beat myself. And I think that's one of my, the only killer that I have is myself. And if I can conquer myself, I can do just about anything.
Absolutely.
I believe that.
Absolutely. I love that mentality. And that was going to be one of my questions is just, you haven't tasted defeat, on the pro scene, but you did have 2 losses on the regional scene. You kind of already addressed this. But, I mean, how much did you learn from those 2 losses?
Oh, I learned everything. One, never rush like a serious health condition and try to get back on top. I have had a time span that I want to accomplish my goals in, and I was really pushing. And I was a little, under the weather in both of those fights, but those are no excuses. I still signed up, I still showed up, and I didn't perform at the end of the day. It wasn't because they were better than me, I just didn't perform. So those losses, the thing that I take from it is just go in and realize that you can be beat by anyone on any given day.
Absolutely.
And especially in the division that I want to fight in heavyweight, is because it's scary. You don't have to be the greatest technician, and you don't have to have the greatest power. But if you have a great blend of both, you can be unstoppable,
Absolutely.
And I think Bruce Lee said at one time, it's not the exceptional person, but it's the normal person with laser-like focus, and that's what I'm trying to have.
Absolutely. And 3-0 all finishes to start your pro career. What would you say your best attribute is, or is it, like you just said, a blend of a lot of different things that make you who you are?
Well, I do have some really outstanding kicks. That's what they say in the gym.
Yeah.
And I really want to display that. I do have power in everything, and I'm kind of ambidextrous. I mean, obviously in sports I was right-handed, but I can still hit really hard with my left side, whether it be a kick or, a punch. So I feel like I'm very well-rounded, but honestly, I can just do things with my legs that heavyweights can't do. And I think that's one thing. I'm the right-handed Cro Cop. So right-handed Cro Cop from Mississippi, and I'm bound and determined to display that in the future.
Absolutely. I think we need that to be your official nickname. I love that. The Right-Handed Cro Cop. That is awesome.
Hey, if you want, hey, you start the nickname, and I'll go with it.
All right.
I don't like to give myself a nickname.
Right.
That's why I don't have a ring name yet. So you can start the ring name if you want.
I'll get that out there, and we'll ride with it.
All right, that sounds great, dude.
So I mean, 3-0. Still very young in your professional career. Is this, when you were a child, was this always the dream? Were there other sports? Did you want to go pro in football? Did you want to go pro in baseball? Or were you always someone that loved mixed martial arts, loved wrestling, loved fighting?
Well, if you ask any of my friends growing up, they'll tell you that I've always been a fighter, But honestly, I was, fighting wasn't around where I'm from unless it was out, in a sporting a match or something, or like in the yard playing tag football or something like that. So we didn't have really sanctioned fighting around us. And I was more pushed towards baseball as a child. And I played baseball until I got to a high school. And then Jamie Mitchell was like, hey, you want to come play football? And I was like, sure, I'll try it. And then it transferred to, hey, I've always been a really physical guy. I've never backed down from a fight. And I've always been able to knock people out. I think the first person I knocked out was my cousin when we were 6. He broke my sword, and I told him not to, and I knocked him out. But I've always been a fighter, and I've always loved it, and I've never backed down, and I never will. But I will say that my first love and my first dream was to be a professional baseball player, and then obviously I played college football, so I was like, hey, I want to be a pro football player, but I lost my focus, and which led me to here, and I'm glad because I think ultimately I'm doing what I was supposed to do. I've always had an itch for fighting, and I'm finally getting to do it and get paid. So throw hands for bands. That's what I like to do.
Absolutely, and the paychecks are always great when you're throwing hands.
Oh yes, hey, in 29 seconds, 30 seconds, like, hey, I've got a really good hourly rate right now.
Exactly. You don't get paid. You don't get paid by the minute. You get in and out.
That's right. My wife's liking that right now.
Sure she is. And are you, when you started, your first amateur fight, your first pro fight, are you right now, you said you had a timeline. Are you where you thought you'd be when you started? Are you behind or ahead?
I'm right there. I wanted to be in the UFC in 4 years. And in February I'll be training for 4 years. I'll be training MMA for 4 years. So I started in 2017, and that obviously that was a plan, because like in football and baseball, hey, you get 4 years of college and then you get to test yourself, and I kind of wanted to have the same kind of mindset, and I've been training a lot. I've been doing 2-a-days for a long time now, just because there's guys that's been in this sport for 10, 20 years. They have so much time on me when it comes to technique. Yep. So I got to make up for it somehow. And like I said, 4 years was my time span. So I'm getting close there. Obviously, I didn't know how difficult this sport was. Like, honestly, this is the hardest sport ever, man. Like, this sport is freaking hard. Wrestling is really difficult, and that's probably like the hardest thing for me, is to chain wrestle, and not only just to fight, but to wrestle while you're, throwing hands. And that's just something, that takes time. But like I said, I'm close on track, but I wanted to be in the UFC in 4 years. 4 years isn't here just yet, so you never know.
Yeah,
I might get lucky, but I really want some more fights, though, man. I have to get experience, because I don't want to just get to the UFC and fade away. I want to get there, either want to be a journeyman or I want to be a world champion, and that's just what I want to do. Awesome.
And like you just said, February's 4 years. How close do you think you are to that call? A couple fights. Obviously with everything happening in the world, a lot of people have been dropping out of fights. Would you like to be someone that's just ready and for that call?
So that's the thing, is I want to be ready for that call. And I'm never, like I said earlier, I'm never going to back down from a challenge. And I want to be challenged by the best. No matter, I would rather challenge the best and be just a little bit behind him, than be there and not ever get that chance. You know what I mean? I want to, I like challenges, and I think challenges make you live, really. Like when you get complacent, you might as well die. That's what I've always been told. So I've always wanted to have a challenge. I always wanted to have a fire under me, something to push me to be the best I can. So honestly, I'd love to get a call-up fight. I'd love to get, an underdog fighter, hey, we got this guy, he's a trash can, or they think I'm a trash can, and just go in there. That's what I want, but like I said, I would definitely love to have at least 4 or 5 good fights, good competition before I get to the main stage,
Absolutely. And obviously you just fought, but obviously you got it in the second round. You got the knockout win. Would you like to be back soon? Are you taking some time?
Oh yes,
soon. Okay.
We're trying to work something up right now. I mean, unfortunately, I did get some food poisoning after my fight Thursday,
okay.
But I'm over that. I've got all. I'm not completely healed, but I will be by next week. So, but anyways, I mean. So we're talking. Me and my manager are talking, and we might have something. And next Friday, there's a fight. There's an event next Friday, but we might be fighting there. I'm not really sure. Not 100% on that, but dude, I'll fight wherever the check's at.
Absolutely.
Like I want to fight, and I want to prove that I'm a fighter and I'm worth being paid money to watch.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what I am. I'd love to get a good 6-week fight camp for a championship fight, but hey, I'll fight every 3 weeks if you want to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if that's what kind of guy I want to be. But hey, if I'm a world champion, obviously I'll take my time to fine tune my skills to win the championship. But hey, I'll fight every 3 weeks too. So that's just the kind of guy I am. I'm a fighter, so. You want to scrap, let's sign it.
And that's something the fans will always love. And can you speak a little bit on your gym? I mean, who was it that got you kind of into the gym, and just speak on your training partners and coaches.
So Jamie Houston is the reason why I started fighting, and I met him in Starkville, Mississippi, and back in actually 2016, and he'd been talking to me. He's like, "Hey, man," and I'm a personal trainer, and I was teaching kickboxing at his gym, and I just got a job there, and he just opened a gym, and I started teaching with him, and he started watching me, and he's like, "Hey, man, have you ever done this before?" I was teaching kickboxing. I was like, "Man, I ain't never done this before."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just watched a few videos, and this shit's fun, So, and then he was like, "Really, man?" He's like, "You should think about fighting." I was like, "Oh, no, And then he just kept on with it, and then he showed me a couple videos of some people fighting. And I was like, "Man, I'll smash those guys." And he's like, "Real?" And I was like, "Dude, I know I'll smash those guys." And we'll come to find out I did smash those guys. But Jamie Houston was the guy that introduced me to the sport, and he got me hooked up with a guy named Jay McIntosh. And Jay taught he helped me with my fundamentals of jiu-jitsu, and I've always kind of had I kind of had the natural hands and kicks. I've just been able to throw them ever since I was young. And then here this past year, I really had to give the majority of the credit as a fighter right now to the gym that I am right now. Because when I got here in Memphis at Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, this is where I learned how to fight. Mm-hmm. This is where I learned MMA. Mm-hmm. Danny, or not Danny, but Andy Urich is the great. He's freaking amazing. He's one of the greatest. I think he's a great coach, man. I've been around a lot of great coaches in sports and football and baseball, and I'm telling you, this guy's a great coach. He's really great. Mm-hmm. One of the best coaches that I've ever been around. And then you have Zach Underwood as well, who's a great guy. He's not only a good fighter, he's a great guy, and he's a great influence on all of us at our gym. And Trey Manley. I cannot thank God enough for putting Trey Manley from American Top Team. He went down to American Top Team, and he's been there for a couple of years, and luckily this guy came back to Memphis, and I'm hooked up with this guy, and he is teaching me all the tricks of the trade when it comes to striking, and we have something in store for everybody.
Awesome.
But this gym here, Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu, if you know any fighters that are ever in this area, they want to get some good rounds, they should come to Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu. We got the best in the South for sure.
Awesome.
I love the gym. I'm there every single day. I don't get tired of it. It's just a great place to be, man. There's great people there. There's great world-class training partners there every single day. I mean, it's a blessing. Jaleel Willis is always there training. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he just got a – we know who Jaleel is, He just got the Bellator signed, reserved, And so we got it. It's time for everybody to know it, But
Absolutely.
Memphis Jiu-Jitsu is mostly all – my credit is to them. Dave, I work for Dave Ferguson and Eric right now. I teach their classes at Memphis Fitness Kickboxing. Throughout Memphis, we have 4 gyms, and I'm at each location. And I just love those guys so much. They're family to me, and I owe them a lot.
Awesome,
man. I love them a
lot. That's awesome to hear. And well, Trevor, right-handed Cro Cop. That is all I have for you, sir.
Let's go.
I want to thank you for the time. And
I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you.
Is there any? Can you drop any information on this possible next Friday, or is it? Or that's fine if you want to keep it quiet for now.
Well, we'll just keep it. I don't really want to say anything because you don't want to jinx anything.
Exactly.